Maintenance of registers, records, returns. Electronically it can be done. Issue wage slips to workers. File such return electronically or otherwise. In fact, I forgot to tell you something. I think I mentioned in some other slide also. You need to, the employer has to ensure that every employee is to be issued with an appointment order. Appointment order in a format or with the minimum kind of condition that will be prescribed by the central government. Now, inspector cum facilitator and other authority. Next, chapter 9, please. Inspector cum facilitator. Now, the inspector has been renamed as facilitator, maybe to facilitate his role with the, and also to remove the negativity attached with the word inspection. So there is a change in designation. He will also do web-based inspection, and third-party audit is enabled, and it is provided, and report will be submitted to the employer, the inspector cum facilitator. There is a panel of separate experts who will be assigned in a randomized manner by the government, and all the information to be kept confidential by the inspector cum facilitator. But it is not clear whether that kind of information will be made available through RTI. Because it is envisaged to be kept confidential, I think RTI may have to be kept away. Complaint shall be kept, if there is any complaint by union or by any employee, that shall be kept confidential. There is a certifying surgeon who is called as a medical officer. Medical officer. Next, please. Chapter 10. Special provision relating to employment of women. Now, the women worker can be employed with her consent in the establishment before 6 a.m. and after 7 p.m. That is between 7 p.m. and 6 a.m. of the next day, and provided you ensure her safety, holidays, working hours, and so on and so forth. The notable point which is different from the earlier draft is, it says the women shall be entitled to work in all types of establishment and all types of work, removing the gender disparity. But the central government will prescribe such conditions. If there are such a hazardous process, hazardous conditions under which she may have to work, they will prescribe certain safety provision and condition that will be prescribed in the rules, right? So therefore, prohibition of employment of women in certain operations, like the pregnant women not to be employed in certain hazardous operations, so on and so forth, that will be specified by the appropriate government. Next, please. Now, coming to the very important point of our business, contract labor, chapter 11. When you say chapter 11 in US, it means insolvency. Chapter 11. Here it is part 1, contract labor. Part 2 deals with interstate migrant workers. Earlier, both were clubbed together in the same chapter, but now it has been divided, considering the importance of the migrant labor in the wake of the pandemic. Now, there is no separate registration on this part, for this part, but application, the contractor has to do to take a license, because the threshold limit has been increased to 50 or more contract labor employed in the establishment, and every manpower supply contractor also, if he has got 50 or more, then he has to get a license. So licensing procedure is given, a procedure is applied subject to qualification criteria, and there will be certain qualifications that will be prescribed to the contractor, and if it is fulfilled, he is given license, and license is given for 5 years, and he can do and if he has to specifically mention that this license is to be made for different types of contract labor to be employed pan-India, he also can get single license. But if he is not having an appropriate qualification as per the rules that will be specified, even then the contractor is given a work-specific license that will be issued by the authority subject to certain conditions, and he can work only for that order. He can work only for that order. And every work order that is to be executed by the contractor with the principal employer, that is to be intimated to the authority. It is certainly quite a irksome provision, but in spite of our objection, they have retained it. And appeal can be made to the appellate party by any person aggrieved by the order of this by the order of authority regarding the license. Next, please.